You're listening to another episode of the Just Go Bike podcast, powered by RAGBRAI. This is the award-winning podcast where we are all about the culture of cycling, just for the fun of it. Your hosts are Murph from the Murphology podcast and AP from Parrot Talk. With tales from all over the nation, come for the bikes, stay for the fun, and leave with a smile. And now here is Murph.
Hey, that's me.
And AP.
Hey, that's me.
Well, hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Just Go Bike podcast, the podcast that's all about bikes. It's all about RAGBRAI, a little slice of Iowa life. And hello, AP.
Hey, Murph. And hi to all of our listeners. I can't believe we're already rolling into Thanksgiving week.
Wow. And I guess I need to acknowledge for those not watching to our intro, once again, we nailed it on the shirts.
We're in the same shirt today. And today's t-shirt is a tribute to Mason City, Iowa.
Yes.
And we received these shirts. Do you remember where we got these shirts?
In Mason City, maybe?
Well, yes, we did.
Yes, it was at a draft when we were speaking. And it was also my birthday.
It was somebody's birthday. Yeah. We celebrated. It was really, really fun. We went to a brewery there in their town square. And we, a draft is a series of speaking events where we host other speakers who each speak for about 5 minutes each. So it's sort of like a quick fire, all about the topic of biking. So it was really fun. Anyway, I don't want to get into it too much, but we had a great time, and I love wearing this shirt because it reminds me of...
Yes, we were gifted these shirts, and we had a blast there.
Yeah. So shout out Mason City.
Yes.
Right.
And also, one more thing about Mason City. Remember their town square had all of these funky art sculptures?
Yeah.
It was so cool. We got some good selfies there.
Oh my God, selfies galore. Yeah, they have a great town square, and it's the Historic Park Inn's right off the town square, so you can see the Frank Lloyd Wright Hotel. There's all sorts of stuff to see and do.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So like you said, we're rolling into Thanksgiving week. We should also acknowledge that we have a mascot in our room. I don't know if we should say his name because he's sleeping right now, but
yes, I have brought my dog Rex to the office, and he's actually being very good today, sleeping on the floor next to us. So little shout out to Boo Boo.
He's so cute. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So it's this time of year is perfect for a quick chat about two of our favorite things, bicycles and
giving thanks. Totally. So, okay, let's start with the bikes, though.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanksgiving, it might not always to everyone scream cycling season, but I know some of our listeners are diehard cyclists year-round.
Including me, right?
Yeah. So, yeah.
I saw a few folks out on the trails this past weekend, including Mr. Clarence Bosenberg, who I believe is now 98 years old.
Wow.
He was out biking when it was so windy and cold, and I am speechless that he's still out and about.
That's amazing. That's my role model. I want to be able to do that when I'm 98.
I know, yeah. And Iowa, here in Iowa, it may get chilly, but the scenic bike paths, especially those late fall sunsets, which happen now at like 4:15, but they're worth layering up for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's something about going outside in the cold weather and being properly bundled, and so you feel a little bit invincible.
Yeah.
You can just do anything out there. But
yeah,
if you're not a winter rider, it's also a great time to show your bike some love. Maybe it's time for a tune-up, or maybe just give it a good cleaning before you store it or throw it on the trainer.
All right. Yeah, it's a good point. Winter hibernation for your bike doesn't mean neglect. A little maintenance now will help make spring riding a little bit easier.
Yeah, and it sort of saves you a little bit of time. I know my first ride of the year, once I get back out on the road, it takes me forever to get my bike ready and to get my supplies together. Mm-hmm. But if your bike's already well maintained and ready to go, that's one less thing on your checklist.
Mm-hmm. Very smart. Very smart.
There you go. So speaking of sweeter, Murph, Thanksgiving. What are you thankful for this year?
Oh, gosh, where do I start? First, I'm so grateful for this podcast, for you, and all the amazing people we've met. I mean, fellow cyclists, RAGBRAI enthusiasts, listeners, everyone who shares their story with us. It's been so thankful.
Yeah, same here. The biking, first of all, I'm super thankful that Rex is sleeping and being quiet for this because he's a hound dog, and if he howls, everyone will know from the whole block.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, okay. So, but the biking community, they're just so welcoming and so inspiring, and it's just so amazing to be a part of it. And also, I have to say, I'm super thankful for all the pie that's coming my way next week.
Oh, are you going to make your special pie that you always make every year?
I'm going to make 2 special pies, two of the same pie.
Okay.
Because every year I make my blueberry pie with the lattice crust.
Okay.
And it gets eaten immediately. So I'm going to try to make a second one so that I can have a piece this year. So, yeah.
All right. Well, I would say pie is definitely a highlight. This is the only time of year that I actually eat pumpkin pie.
Oh.
And I think the only reason I like it is because of the volume of whipped cream that goes on it.
Ah, very good. So. I just eat the whipped cream straight.
Oh, that's smart
just
too.
Go straight to the point.
And I know we both do a form of the Thanksgiving turkey trot, but maybe we should start a Thanksgiving bike ride tradition that will help us make room for seconds.
Oh, okay. I love that. A casual ride after the feast.
Yeah.
Burn some calories, feel good, and then dive into seconds. And I know the script says seconds of mashed potatoes and turkey, but I'm the biggest fiend for mashed potato seconds. You can have the turkey. I will eat so many mashed potatoes left over.
And actually, this is also the only time of year that I eat stuffing.
Oh.
Stuffing with mashed potatoes that are left over.
Yeah.
So good. So good. Well, we might be on... And there's Rex. You know, we might be onto something, but seriously, I think Thanksgiving is a great reminder to pause, appreciate how lucky we are to enjoy this beautiful state, the bike trails, and the people who make cycling so much fun.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Well, AP, tradition has us using this episode to give thanks. And of course, since this is a bicycle podcast, we should come up with some bike-themed topics to discuss.
Ooh, okay. Love that. In fact, we have come up with some topics to discuss.
We already did, yes.
Yes. And we have 5 quick topics to share that I think they really cover some of the most important ways to celebrate the spirit of giving thanks.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're the one who came up with the facts, but yes. Okay, so are you ready?
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, number 1. And these are in no particular order.
Correct.
Right? They're all important. Yeah. They all kind of, encompass the spirit of Thanksgiving. So, number 1, thankful for the trails and specifically celebrating Iowa trails. I mean, I know there's trails all over, but we're Iowans, so of course we're going to talk about the Iowa trails.
Yeah, it's a really special way to see our state, to explore without having to worry about cars coming into your ride and, see some things that are just sort of out in nature. A lot of Iowa's bike trails are rail trails, and what's cool about those is that they are obviously converted railroad beds, and that's one of the things that made Iowa a state in the first place, is having a network of railroad all across the state and little towns every 10 miles so that they could drop off supplies, pick up supplies, things like that. Well, that's perfect for a bicycle because you can ride 10 miles and you can have a little refreshment and then you can be on your merry way.
Which is why RAGBRAI is so successful.
That's right. But it's also why our trails are so successful.
Yeah.
Because those have all been incorporated in a similar way.
Yeah. And the biggest trail system in my community, Cedar Rapids area, is the Cedar Valley Nature Trail.
Yeah.
Which is a rail trail. And it goes, I think it's extended now. It goes from like Waterloo, Iowa area, all the way south down to Iowa City.
Yeah.
It's an amazing trail system. Dare I say back in the day, but there was a time when it was all limestone and, when it would rain, it would get either super sandy or super ruddy, and now it's all paved. It's pretty amazing. And the best part about Cedar Valley Nature Trail, at least for me, is it's part of a bigger trail system that is on track to go all the way across the entire country.
Wow.
And it's called the Great American Rail Trail.
Yeah.
I am on their website right now. It says that they are going to be making a rail trail route that is more than 3,700 miles between Washington, D.C. and Washington State.
Yeah.
And it goes right through Iowa.
It's so cool. Like, how lucky are we to have that? Definitely thankful for that.
Yeah.
A lot of the trail is in place, and every year they build more onto the trail to hopefully reach their goal of stretching all the way across the state, the United States, without having to go on a road.
Yeah. You can go to rails2trails.org to get a really cool graphic of where the trail is done, where it's going to be in the future, and all of that good stuff. They have like a fun video too that's worth watching.
If you're in one of the states where the rail trail passes, I encourage you to take a closer up look and see if maybe there's a section near you that still needs to be built, and to encourage your local government to do so, because, let's get this trail completed. I want to ride it.
Yeah. And on a side note, I have not yet ridden my bike in Idaho. I believe we talked about it on a previous episode about how I want to go up to Idaho.
Yeah.
But this rail trail, the Great American Rail Trail, goes through I don't know what it's called, like the really skinny part of Idaho.
Oh, the finger.
Yeah. So I'm like, how fun would that be to be able to pedal across the state in a day?
That'd be amazing.
I know. Yeah. I can't wait.
I mean, some people ride across Iowa in a day. They're a lot crazier than me, but
I know. I think we know one of them. Didn't Luke Eustace do that?
Yeah, I think we do. Yeah.
Oh, Luke.
So,
okay. All right. So anyway, and there's so many other trails that we could throw into this discussion, but in general, it's so nice to have trails in Iowa, in every state, so that we can maybe not be as worried about car traffic.
Yeah. All right. So let's go on to the second topic of why we're thankful for cycling, the cycling community, and stories of support and friendship. I'm sure that when we bring up this topic, a bunch of things come to your mind, as well they do to us.
Yeah, when you think about this podcast, we are all about bikes just for the fun of it. And as we've, gone through the years, because we've been podcasting for a while, right?
Yeah.
And now, when we're on RAGBRAI or different functions, people come up to us and tell their story and tell us, maybe how they started doing RAGBRAI, how they started biking, how they listened to our podcast. And all of that is just, I don't know, it gives me warm fuzzies.
Well, it's super special. I don't know if there's any other job in the world where it's that same sort of community and there's that same sort of friendship that comes from it. So I'm super thankful for it.
Yeah.
We will be right back.
Stay cozy this fall with our LII Waffle Knit. In development for over a year by our merchandise team. This shirt is waffly good in design, comfort, and performance.
Made from soft and lightweight waffle knit fabric, this shirt can be used as a thermal base layer or your go-to casual shirt of the season.
This is the official Just Go Bike merchandise pick of the season.
Now, back to the show.
And we get emails all the time from people who do want to share their story or want to be on the podcast. And we wanted to give you just a little segment from somebody who recently wrote in.
Yeah. So this email is from a woman named Stephanie Abels. Stephanie, thank you so much for...
Oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah. Thank you for writing into us. Thank you for sharing your story. I can't wait to meet you on RAGBRAI. So here's a little segment from the email that she wrote to us. So Stephanie says, I wanted to take a moment to share our story and say thank you for all the amazing content you create. My husband Scott and I have become absolutely obsessed with biking, and it all started on July 8th, although it was in his head this summer. The day Scott quit smoking and decided to get healthier. Since then, cycling has transformed our lives. We've been diving headfirst into all things biking, constantly watching RAGBRAI videos on YouTube, binging past and new episodes of the Just Go Bike podcast.
Ooh, thank you, Stephanie.
Joining every cycling group we can find on Facebook and Reddit, and scrolling through endless cycling TikToks for tips and tricks. It's safe to say that RAGBRAI fever has taken over our home, and we couldn't be more excited for 2025. We're already counting down the days until the overnight towns are announced.
Oh, Stephanie, so are we.
Yeah.
Right?
Heck yes, we are. I wish I could have say exactly how many days until the route announcement, but it is almost exactly 2 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So, that's just one of the many. A recent episode, we had Gary Cedarquist on, and he did the same thing. He wrote into us and kind of told us his story, and we made an episode about it. So anyway, we're very thankful.
That's one of my favorite things about RAGBRAI riders is that almost every single one of them has a cool story about how many RAGBRAIs they've ridden, how many they want to ride if it's their first one, and how they came to cycling in their life, and just some of the many adventures. And that's sort of what this podcast is all about. So yeah. Thanks to everyone who has come up and introduce themselves to us. Thanks to everyone who listens. Couldn't appreciate you more.
Very true.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Number 3, pedaling for a cause, using bikes to give back. And this is a big one, in my opinion. Cycling community is always giving back, giving thanks with charity rides, with bike donations, volunteering, doing cycling advocacy. There's so many ways to give back. It doesn't always have to mean dollars. But I think the example that we want to share here is just a great experience with Greenfield.
Yeah. Greenfield, Iowa it was on the 2024 RAGBRAI route. And if you listen to this podcast a lot, you probably know exactly what we're talking about. But just in quick summary, I'll say Greenfield was hit by a pretty powerful tornado earlier in 2024. And they weren't sure if they were going to be able to host RAGBRAI because like 200 homes in their community were just flattened. Mm-hmm. So eventually they decided that they were going to be up to the task. And obviously RAGBRAI and a lot of the RAGBRAI community and the surrounding towns supported them in that. Mm-hmm. So they didn't have to do it alone, but they held RAGBRAI and they hosted RAGBRAI as a meeting town, which is not that easy to do,
right?
Because you have to coordinate the cars and the bicyclists. But anyway, they hosted RAGBRAI, and because of the donations of RAGBRAI cyclists, they raised thousands of dollars, mm-hmm. tens of thousands of dollars, to go back to their town to help with the rebuilding efforts. Mm-hmm. And they've asked that we come back again in 4 or 5 years whenever we come to that part of the state again. So, so it's just been a really awesome way to support. I mean, obviously, it's a horrible tragedy. We don't want that to happen. But to make the best of something bad and to mm-hmm. hopefully bring a little positivity to their town with cycling.
Mm-hmm. And then an ongoing mission, I guess, that happens with RAGBRAI is what's called RAGBRAI Gives.
Yeah.
And it's pretty simple. Just go to the website and, you'll see RAGBRAI Gives. And it's a great opportunity for you to read up on all the different ways that RAGBRAI riders give back.
Yeah. Yeah. It's cool. This year, our charity of choice is Honor Flight, which is a charity that takes veterans out to Washington, D.C. to see a variety of memorials, all war memorials, like there's a Vietnam memorial, the World War II memorial, stuff like that, that sort of celebrates their what they have sacrificed for our country and gives them a little bit of appreciation.
And, on a personal note, I believe it was 2016 or 17. I can't recall for sure, but I was lucky enough to be a guardian.
Yeah.
And so I got to go on the honor flight. I ended up having 2 veterans that I was tasked with making sure that they got to all the places they needed to go. One of them was my father, so that was so awesome.
Yeah.
And then the other was a man named Larry, who I am still friends with today. He's such a cool guy. It was a whirlwind of a day. It was probably an 18-hour day.
Wow.
And, it's just amazing, all the things that you get to see and the emotions that come up with everyone.
Yeah.
And then to top off the day, so we fly back from Washington, D.C. the same day we fly out.
Wow.
And we get to the airport, and it's like a festival in the airport.
Oh.
There are hundreds of people with their red, white, and blue signs. There's a band playing.
Oh, my gosh.
So even though it's 11 o'clock at night and we're all exhausted, it's like all these veterans are seeing how important they are. It's a really, really cool thing. I can't talk enough about how great the honor flight is.
Yeah. So you can obviously donate to them individually, but you could also donate to them during your RAGBRAI registration or by going to ragbrai.com and finding that RAGBRAI Gives tab that Murph was talking about earlier.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So reason number 4, in no particular order, why we are grateful for cycling. We'll just say life lessons learned on 2 wheels.
God, there's so much that you can learn about other people, about yourself, about what you're capable of. We could go to the level of your body. Okay. So here you are. We just completed in 2024 the hilliest RAGBRAI ever. And it was, people were really worked up about it.
Yeah.
Are we going to be able to do that? I think it was over 20,000 feet of climb, which is crazy for the state of Iowa. We don't even have mountains.
Yeah.
But yet, you go up those hills and you're rewarded with the downhill, and then you realize I did it.
Yeah.
My body can do it.
Yeah. In fact, you did it twice.
That's right. I did do it twice.
So I'm double proud of you.
Yeah.
There's definitely that sense of accomplishment of completing a ride like RAGBRAI. What came to my mind first when I saw this bullet point was way back a couple years ago, we were riding the pre-ride into Sac City, and it was myself and Murph and our friend Jen Wyatt. We're all riding together, and there was a massive headwind.
Oh, gosh.
It was so powerful, and I have no idea how strong the headwind was.
Let's say 800 miles an hour.
At minimum, 800 miles an hour. And we were riding, I know, 4 miles an hour because I have a bike, unfortunately, have a bike computer. And which, just FYI, I could have been walking probably faster.
It was brutal.
But we rode in a little row and we took turns riding first and drafting off of each other. And we pedaled every darn mile, even though we were dead last on the pre-ride. We couldn't even see the next people ahead of us, but we didn't give up. We kept riding, and it showed me, it does sound brutal when you describe it, but when I was done, I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
And it showed me that I can do anything I set my mind to.
Yeah.
And it also showed me the support of my friends, like we're there for each other.
Yeah. It's just literally when you're on two wheels, it's, you're happy when you get to your destination, but it's really all about appreciating the entire journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Life's a journey, bike it,
Yeah.
I don't think that's really a phrase, but I just thought of it.
Okay.
All right.
And then our last one, we have plenty that we could talk about, but we'll just keep it at 5.
Okay.
I'm going to be cheesy here, but how about biking and breaking bread?
Oh, okay.
A Thanksgiving ride tradition, which I have a Thanksgiving ride tradition. I don't know if you do. I know we both kind of do the turkey trot.
Yep.
But that's not on 2 wheels.
It's on 2 feet. Yeah.
Yeah. But in my community, Cedar Rapids, we have what's called Cranksgiving.
Yeah.
And a local bike shop puts it on. It's free to be part of it. You get a list of unique small businesses that either are grocery stores or maybe they're any kind of store, but for that day only, they will stock a food item.
Oh.
So we go into all these different places and buy those items, put them in our panniers, and then at the end of the bike ride, we have to figure out how to get to all these places. So let's say there's like 15 of them. And then at the end of the day, we bike to a food pantry and drop all that food off. So,
that's so
it's
cool.
Like such a good, it's good for the food pantry. It's good for those small businesses, but it's also like that camaraderie of, there were hundreds of us that were just out and about riding bikes and enjoying ourselves. And it's a really cool tradition.
That's so special and so awesome. And it's good for you. You got a little exercise out of it too.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So, I think that tops any Thanksgiving cycling tradition that I would have. Sometimes I bike to the run that I do, but that's about it. But I think Cranksgiving is about as good as it gets.
It is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And lots of communities, I know here in Des Moines, there is a Cranksgiving as well. If there's not one in your community, man, email us and I'll give you some highlights on how it's done and get one going in your community.
Oh, love that. Okay, so I think that's a great note to wrap up this episode.
All right.
To all our listeners, whether you're biking this weekend or just enjoying the holiday with your family and your friends, we are so thankful for you.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Now, between those meals, go out, go for a bike ride, or maybe eat a slice of pie for us.
Or both.
Definitely both. All right.
All right.
Well, listeners, that is it for today. We want to thank you for tuning in to listen to the Just Go Bike podcast. If you would like to contact Murph and AP with a comment about the podcast, or maybe even you have a topic in mind, you can reach us at justgobikepodcast@gmail.com. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook and watch our intros on YouTube. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast, especially if you're a fan. That is going to do it for this week. Until next time,
Just go bike.
Theme song by Ryan Steer. Logo by Suzanne Milosevic. Produced by Kathy Murphy. Social media by Andrea Parrott. Intro by Pumpkin. Until next time, just go bike.